So let's start with some general items here.
Okay.
Your speed came out as on the average 117.8.
Okay.
This is good for amateur player. And this is the elite man's average. So elite man includes tour players, college players, and some teaching professionals.
Okay.
And the average came out around 110. So you're way above that.
Sure.
Particularly for your height, this is pretty good here.
Yeah.
Now, for the swing time, overall swing time is about 900 milliseconds. So from here, beginning of the backswing to impact, about 900 milliseconds. This is also good.
Okay.
But if you look at the shape of the club speed graph here, so from 1 to this is 6, but from 1 to 6, this is backswing.
Okay.
And then, so you see this bell-shaped curve here.
Yeah.
The peak occurs early.
Okay.
You have to keep the peak later here, around here.
Interesting.
So what it means is that you are letting the club go early,
Okay.
and then also it will probably come with the early quick body rotation,
Yeah.
and then slows down a little bit.
Okay.
So instead, try to build the climax more toward the end of the backswing.
Okay.
So throw the club actively here, and then you have active slowdown instead of
Right.
just to try to go here to a certain position here.
Yeah.
Then what happens is you have early action, but then you just try to go there and then stop here.
Yeah.
But you have to feel this more ballistic motion by throwing this, so they let it go all the way. So really build the climax more toward the later instead of early here.
Makes sense.
So this is something we need to look into. So when we look at the kinematic sequence, we'll probably see that your body action is too early.
Makes sense.
But then, and then 3 and 4 are separated. This is when the lead arm is parallel to the ground, and then 4 is when the club is vertical in the frontal plane. These are separate, but you need to separate this even more. So when this happens together, that means you have early wrist action. But this is not, really early wrist action, but you don't have much time between 3 and 4 here. So in the backswing. So this is when the lead arm is parallel to the ground. This is when the club becomes vertical here, between these two. So have the feel of just throwing the club head.
Okay.
In the lateral direction in the backswing. Instead of try to bring this just here, throw. When the club is thrown that way, but it cannot go because you're holding this end here,
Right.
then it will go around.
Okay.
Automatically it will go around and give you a reasonable wrist cock here. So you don't need to control this.
Right.
Have the feel of throwing. And then let's go to the top view. This large rectangle here is the swing plane. So this is calculated from the club head motion. So at impact, so generally, this is before impact, but this is slight after impact, but this is a target line. Your swing plane is aligned inward. And so the club head is also moving slightly inward at impact here. And then this is the hand motion plane. It is also slightly inward, but this is not too bad. These are, the angle difference is not much on the average.
Okay.
So that means you're pretty much maintaining the parallel alignment. However, so this is the mean value. And then you have standard deviation of the plane direction. Standard deviation is a bit high here.
Okay.
For the swing plane, and particularly the hand motion plane. That means your hands are moving not consistently. 30.9 degrees inward, 1.7 degrees inward, and then 30.4, 6.9 degrees inward. So every time you swing, the direction the hands are moving change.
Right.
It's because you rely on your muscles.
Yes.
Try to hit it hard. Okay, so so when you drag it and then try to hit it hard, then it depends on how much force you put
Okay.
in the swing. If you put more force than usual, then you tend to drag it more. So your hands are traveling more. If you put less effort, then your hands travel less at impact.
That makes sense.
So it changes. That's why the direction changes a lot.
Okay.
This is really big here. This standard deviation really big.
Okay.
So for example, elite golfers, they keep this under 1 degree.
Okay.
But it's 2.2 degree means you have a lot of variation in terms of direction. So this is something you need to look into. But mainly because your hands are pulling the club quite a bit and try to hit the ball.
Okay.
And this is typical for golfers who do a lot of weight training.
Yeah.
You try to solve everything with your muscles.
Yeah, I want to move away from that if I can.
So sometimes the motion becomes inefficient.
Right.
And you can tell, particularly when a trainer hits the ball, then you can tell, ooh, that must be a trainer. So, so when we align everything along the swing plane, this is the first trial, but so one thing nice about your swing is that your club head is moving along the swing plane. This straight line is the swing plane here. And initially, the club head is moving along the swing plane in the backswing, and then making this loop here.
Right.
So up to this point is okay.
Okay.
Now, when you look at the downswing club head trajectory here, this is symmetric. If you add a line here, a straight line parallel to the swing plane, then the club head path is symmetric here. This means you are pulling the handle with your arms quite a bit here.
Right.
So what happens is the club is here, but when you pull this hard,
Right.
the club head goes away. So the club head has to travel high up here and then coming down here. So this is typical symptom of arm-driven swing here.
Okay.
When you pull the handle really hard. Instead, if you at the early part of in the early part of downswing, if you just shallow this a little bit and then let it drop and then throw, then the club head will move more this way here and quickly coming toward the swing plane here, and it does not travel too much this way here. But in this case, when you pull this down, then the club head will move up here. So that means let's go to maybe kinematic sequence pattern here. So this is top of action here, and on the way down, as you pull the handle down, the arms and club are pretty much rotating as a one unit.
Okay.
Okay, then it actually has a casting-like action here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. By the time you are here, you see, the club is aligned this way here,
Yeah.
rather than going this way here. So when you have this large backswing motion, your arms are pretty much going up this way because you are bending your elbow quite a bit here.
Yeah.
So the hands are high.
I want to figure out how not to do that.
As long as you have the intention to hit it hard with your muscles, then
Right.
you have to bend this. So from the beginning, even in the backswing, you're trying to hit it hard. You have that intention. So you're bending this, and then also on the way down, you're bending the elbow quite a bit. So from here, on the way down here, you see how much the elbow is bending here.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. This is because you want to hit it hard. So you have to stay away from the idea of hitting it really hard with your muscles. Okay. So you should be able to actually throw the end of the club instead of pulling and dragging here.
Right.
So this is the challenge you have. So we'll practice a little bit with the rope and then the light wish stick, but see how well you can do it. So all the way down, you are bending the elbow quite a bit here. That means you are making a strong statement that you are going to hit it with your muscles.
Right.
So when that happens, when you pull the handle down with the arms quite a bit, then the club head must go high up here. Because the center mass is out there.
Right.
When you pull this, then the end of the club goes up.
Shoots up. Interesting.
So it'll make a long arc like this.
You get really steep.
Yeah, the club head is going high up. Then your swing plane becomes steeper than typical.
Okay.
So for your height, this is a bit too steep. So the swing plane has to go more this way here.
Okay.
But it's passing slightly, over the mid trunk point here. So it's a bit steeper than typical.
Okay.
It's because you're pulling the handle down, then letting the club head go up. Then you cannot really flatten this. You cannot do shallowing that much.
Right.
Because the club head is already moving fairly fast.
I've always struggled with shallowing it.
And also that shallowing is not intentional dropping here.
Right.
So it's like imagine a swing. So in your backyard, are you married?
Engaged.
Engaged?
Yeah.
So imagine you are then married, and then you have a child,
Yeah.
say, and then so your kid is riding the swing, you're pushing the swing. So what happens is when the swing comes up, then you don't try to push. You wait until motion is completed,
Okay.
and then you will help,
Yeah.
right? But in this type of motion, what's happening is that even when it's approaching toward the top, you're already pushing here because you use your muscles.
That makes sense.
So before this is completed, you are already stopping this and then try to use the arms here.
Right.
But instead, the feel is more like this. So when you try to pull this hard, then what happens is this. Go up, and from here, you try pull here. But when you let it drop, so wait until this, and then when it starts moving downward, and then you add your effort here. Then what happens is go up, and then swing goes like this. But if you try to pull it hard, then
Yeah. Makes sense.
that's the difference.
Okay.
And then when you go up and wait until this slightly drops, and then throw, then during this dropping motion, natural shallowing happens.
Right.
Okay, so instead of, whose club is this? It's Nicole's. So, when you try to pull this hard from the beginning,
Yeah.
then you're actually stopping this intentionally and then try to pull it hard. Then handle is pulled, the club head goes up here.
Okay.
Instead of go up and almost you're dropping here. Dropping and then throw.
Okay.
So that way you can shallow this more. And then instead of it gradually coming down toward the swing plane here, it'll quickly move toward the swing plane, and then you have really clean planar motion here.
Okay.
Now, because in this case you keep dragging, what happens is in the follow through here, the club head is actually going slightly below the swing plane here, and then finally it catches up here. So this is called the spiral swing.
Okay.
So it deviates from the swing plane up here, from the above, coming down, and it goes slightly below the swing plane. So it shows this spiral path here.
Okay.
And it's because you keep pulling.
Okay.
And another problem that comes with it, in your case, you pull this, the arm is bent here, and then you pull this.
Yeah.
What happens is your pelvis is opening early.
Okay.
Your left instep leaves the ground early.
Yeah.
You're going into this position here.
Yep.
Instead of go up and then slightly drop this and then throw in the stand on the leader side.
Okay.
Then you push the ground, while you're pushing the ground, your foot is still in good contact with the ground.
Okay.
Push, and then as your body turns, the foot is rolling here.
Okay.
But in your case, because you keep pulling this here, the knee is slightly out,
Right.
and then instead of leaving the ground, so you end like this position here. Your foot has to turn this way, and at the same time, it is a it's an inversion, inverting there. So when we look at this in the frontal view here, your knee is sticking out this way.
And it shouldn't.
Your body, your pelvis is shifted quite a bit this way. Your knee is sticking out this way.
Okay.
Then you cannot push the ground hard with the foot. It rolls.
Right.
Look at this.
Yeah.
So I was watching. I sent these to your phone number, but
Yes. I got them.
so when you look at the frontal motion, this one here, you see the foot motion here.
Yeah, it rolls early.
It's because the knee is out there.
Okay.
So the legs should go more this way here.
Right.
The pelvis is actually shifting too much this way.
Okay.
And then with that, your instep, left instep is already leaving the ground.
Right.
So the pelvis is opening a bit too much, and then the foot goes like this. This is because you keep pulling, dragging the club quite a bit.
So the leg does that because I'm pulling with my arm.
You should be able to throw the club head.
Right.
Should have the feel of throwing the club head.
Okay.
When you pull this through the impact, then you keep affecting the impact condition
Okay.
because you're putting effort through the impact. Then if you put more effort, then you pull more, drag more, and it also have tendency of thin shot.
Yes.
If less effort, then it can hit the ground hard.
Okay.
These things, because those are affected by how much you pull.
Yeah.
But when you develop speed here and then you let the club head go, using the club head speed, and you hit the ball here, you're not adding any effort near the impact.
Right.
So the impact condition becomes more consistent.
Okay.
Again, as I demonstrated, keep pulling this versus drop and then let the club head go.
That's throwing the club
Yes,
head.
yes.
Okay.
That's very different patterns.
Yeah.
And in order to throw here, you're activating everything early.
Right.
So go up and then let it drop, and then from here, actively develop the speed and then throw.
Okay.
Instead of from here, keep pulling all the way here.
Okay.
So when you have this spiral swing pattern, tendency of spiral swing, that means it's arm dominant.
Right.
You're dragging a lot, and then also this club head pattern shows that you're pulling the handle down, the club head going up, then you tend to have a steeper swing plane than normal. So these are all happening this way. And then this is center of mass motion here. So the whole body center of mass is moving away and slightly going down. It's not going high that much. So it has to go a bit up more. And then this dropping is good here.
Okay.
With this dropping, you can push the ground. So when it drops and then goes below the initial position, that means you will have a large ground reaction force
Right.
in the downswing.
Does it drop early enough in the swing?
Let's see, the high point occurs too early here.
The high point occurs too
Yeah,
early.
the high point
Okay.
should occur here at this event, which is 5 is end of pelvis rotation.
Okay.
So up to this point, you should be able to keep pushing the ground and bring the body up
Right.
here. But you have an initial quick push here, then already this is dropping here. So you are intentionally dropping this here. The low point occurs here. This is a bit early. Again, the low point usually occurs about here, around 8 here. The low point occurs about early. But as you can see, your pelvis is already sliding toward the target quite a bit here. Yeah, pelvis tends to slide quite a bit here.
Right.
One reason for this is we have to check your elbow position, but if your elbow is behind your body here, instead of coming in front of your body,
Yeah.
then in order to allow the elbow to move this way, your body has to slide
Okay.
and make a room here.
Yeah.
So for that, let's go to the functional equivalent view again. So on the way down here, so when the club is parallel to the ground on the way down, at this position, if you draw a vertical line from the right shoulder down, your elbow is on the left side here. That means that it's stuck. So you need to move the elbow on this line here or slightly in front of it. So you have to let the elbow go in front of you early.
Right.
In order to throw the club head, if your intention is from here, try to throw the club head toward the target here, then it'll come this way here.
Right.
But if you try to pull this down here, then this is
Right.
easier because everything is close to the body.
Yeah.
When it's away from the body and then try to pull it hard, then the weight of the inertial force is called inertial force, but the system, and then this momentum becomes longer,
Okay.
then it puts more burden to your body.
Okay.
So when you try to pull something hard, then you naturally keep it closer to your body and coming this way here. This is easier.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
So imagine you are pulling a rope, let's say.
Right.
Instead of pulling the rope this way here, you tend to pull this way here because this is easier.
Right.
But
You wouldn't do this.
yeah, if you do this, then the momentum becomes longer here.
Yeah.
Then it puts more burden on the body.
Right.
So you by instinct know this.
Right.
So when you try to pull it hard, then always you will see that the golfers have a chicken wing posture here,
Yeah.
because you want to keep it closer. But if your intention is to try to develop the speed here and then throw the club head, reach out without leaning, still extend the leverage here, maintain long lever here, and then throw here, then the arms will extend naturally.
Okay.
But if your intention is to keep pulling this, then always the elbow goes flex the
it's-
position here.
Let it fall with the elbow in front, and then.
And you have to get rid of this feel here. This is coming behind here.
Right.
Instead from here, let it drop, and then throw the hands in front of you.
Like that.
And then throw the hands.
Okay.
If you can throw the hands, then you can also throw the club head.
Right.
Yeah. So the golf swing is not really muscle-driven motion,
Right.
particularly when you develop this good rotational motion.
Right.
When you develop good rotational motion, the key is interacting with the ground. You have to use the ground well, but the force involved in that process, the force your legs are generating in that process is not much.
Okay.
So it's even less than what you typically experience in slow jogging.
Oh, interesting.
So golf swing is not a maximum effort
Right.
motion, but you just use the legs and then keep good interaction here. With that, generate first rotation, and then in the end, you have to throw the end point,
Right.
because the goal is to move the end point in the rotational motion,
Right.
rather than try to move your body
Handle it.
actively here.
Yeah.
So yeah, this shows the tendency of stuck elbow here. Then generally, what you would normally do is from here, when you come down, try to come this way here, behind
Yeah.
here. Instead, throw in front of your body.
Okay.
So I see here that your body is sliding quite a bit here. Even here, at this point here, your pelvis is already sliding this way here.
Right.
The whole upper body is leaning. So when this happens, if you look at the thorax, so If you look at the overall alignment of the body, alignment of the body here, particularly the abdomen area here, is leaning quite a bit in the away direction. Your pelvis is way here, and then the whole upper body is kind of leaning here.
Right.
This is because the pelvis is sliding this way. Soon you will see that your knee is already flexing outward here.
Right.
And then dragging, keep dragging. So at impact, you have this quite a bent elbow here.
Yeah.
This is the classical chicken wing position here. So now this is zero cocking. So the club and the arms are aligned here, but still your elbows are bent like this.
Right.
Because in your image, you try to use your muscles.
Okay.
Well, you invested a lot of money and time to develop the muscles that somehow you want to use it.
Yeah. Should go back in time.
But actually, the whole purpose here is to throw the club head, develop with speed.
Okay.
And then, again, when you keep dragging this way, then the main problem is, even at impact, you are still influencing the club motion.
Right.
Because you have effort there.
Yeah.
But when you throw, then you are using the club speed to hit the ball.
Okay.
You are letting the club head go here, so you don't have to add any effort
Right.
at impact. Then the impact becomes consistent. But when you keep pulling, then depending on how much you drag with your hands, it can be a thin shot or thick shot.
Okay.
And then the pelvis motion. The pelvis motion here shows that this is the pelvis rotation. The red line is this rotation here. And it's quite slight over elite man's average here.
More over average pelvis rotation.
Yeah, this is the average, and then you're going a bit more, but this is not too much. And then at impact, a bit less here than man's average.
Right.
It's because your pelvis is sliding this way quite a bit here.
Sliding instead of rotating.
So if you stand on the lead side, swing and stand on the lead side nicely here, then the body will naturally turn reasonably. But in this one, because your body is leaning this way here, coming this way here, so the pelvis does not rotate as much.
Right.
So the best is having more balanced rotations here.
Okay.
And then the blue line is a lateral tilt here. But it shows initial tilting motion up to this point here, and then the slope changes a lot here. The blue line shows a change in slope.
So more tilt.
No. So initially you are developing the tilt quickly, but then
I see.
it's sort of slowing down a little bit here.
Okay.
That means this is sort of a two-stage motion here.
Okay.
So this is the evidence of you have an early quick motion here, quick motion of the pelvis. So from here to this position, versus from that point on, it's not the lateral tilt is not increasing much because you have to bring this here. So early quick action and then this motion here, instead of continuous motion all the way here.
Right.
When you throw and then let it go in the turn, it's continuous motion. Continuous motion and then drop and throw here. But if you quick motion and then bring this way here and then try to pull hard here.
So do I need to be, so I'm quick, do I need to slow this down or do I need to be faster up here?
So the backswing motion should be more continuous motion.
Okay.
One piece motion all the way here instead of a quick action and then going here.
Okay.
So, I look at the patterns a lot instead of just the values.
Okay.
So when the slope changes about here, that means you have two-stage motion. So initially, quick motion up to this point, you're turning this early, and then from that point on, pelvis is not turning it's not turning that much here. So lateral tilt is not increasing that much, and then you may lift this and then coming up.
Okay. Interesting.
And then on the way down, as you pull this, your pelvis is sliding. And this is a lot of elbow flexion here.
Yeah.
So go up here, and then you open this and then pull at the same time.
I was telling him I think I'm getting tennis elbow from that.
Yeah, because you are using the arm
Yeah.
a lot. You're using, and then particularly when you pull this a lot, it's not just the main agonist, but you tend to have a lot of co-activations because you want to
Right.
put it hard here.
Yeah.
And when you have a tendency of co-activations, then you are activating the muscle even too much.
Right.
So you need to learn how to just activate the muscle just about the right amount,
Right.
and then also timing. Then just let it go.
Okay.
So this shows that tendency, and then rotation also shows a slight similar pattern here. There's a subtle change in the slope here.
That's rotation.
Yeah, rotation. This is lateral tilt. They show a subtle change in the slope of the curve. So have the image of having one piece backswing, continuous backswing all the way here, by letting it go by throwing this and then have continuous motion all the way here,
Right.
instead of just to go up here and try to pull hard here.
Okay.
You need to feel the momentum of the
Of the club head.
club head and the upper body here.
Okay.
And then the green line is the away motion and toward motion here. So upper one here, the green line is the away and toward motion. So you have initial away motion up to this point here. And then as the rotation continues, it stays there. This is the end of the pelvis rotation. So this is when the pelvis rotation is completed. But you're basically staying there. You're not starting the so-called recentering early enough.
Okay.
So once you move away here and then you keep that position up to this point, if you look at the green line here.
Yeah.
But what should happen is if you have a good rhythmic motion, the whole thing is moving naturally here. Throw and then let it go.
Right.
And as you throw actively here, your body is recentering here.
Right.
So you have an initial away motion and with this throw and then you're recentering here. Then by the time you start downswing motion, you have good shifted position. From there, normal pelvis rotation here instead of further sliding like this.
Okay.
So it's covering this area. So my
Okay. Sounds good.
demo should be in the video. So then, if you introduce the recentering here, then naturally this comes up this way here. And then by the time you reach the end of pelvis rotation, then you should return to initial position here, pretty much here. And then from here, simply rotating the pelvis, then you can move your pelvis center of mass toward the target. But here what we'll see is sliding of the pelvis. Ooh, this is bad posture here. This is sliding, you're leaning even more.
Right.
And then the knee already starts going outward here. You're pulling hard here.
Right.
So that's what I see. And then the blue is up and down motion, but the up and down motion should be okay.
Okay.
Then red is a forward backward motion. It should be okay. But the main thing is, as we can see here, slight change in the slope. That means you have two-stage backswing motion. And then also you're not introducing the recentering motion early enough.
Okay.
And then X factor here X factor. This is separation between the shoulders and hips here.
Right.
Again, it shows two-stage motion here. So up to this point, the separation is increasing rapidly, but then it slows down. The slope,
That's not good.
again, is you have early action here, then this motion here, instead of one-piece rotation all the way.
Okay.
So this is basically the same thing to here you have a change in slope slightly here. You have two-stage motion. And then when we look at the way you separate the shoulders and hips, you are rotating the shoulders early here. Because of that, you have a rapid increase in the X factor up to this point. But then from this point on, both are rotating fairly together, so you have a flatter slope here.
Okay.
So you have change in the way you separate the shoulders and hips.
Okay.
Again, this also shows a two-stage motion here. So what you need to have is when you have active initiation here, then let it go all the way in one motion, one continuous motion instead of quick motion and then try to go this way.
Okay.
The kinematic sequence, here. The kinematic sequence basically shows the angular motion of your angular velocities here.
Okay.
First, let's take a look at the backswing sequence here. So these peaks, the red line is the pelvis or the hip line here. It reaches peak angular velocity here. So the pelvis angular velocity increases, reaches the peak, and then decreases here, and then here almost flat here. Because you had the quick pelvis motion here. That from here to the transition point, you have too much time.
Okay.
So in that case, perhaps we can go straight to this, but this is not happening.
Yeah.
You're slowing down and then maintaining the speed here.
Interesting.
This is when you have the change in the X factor slope.
Right.
This is around here.
Because it slows down.
So pelvis reaches peak angular velocity really early. This is the thorax and shoulders. These are all reaching the peak value early here. But I want you to move these two more toward the middle of the backswing here. So that means that initially you have a slow start here, using the whole body, and then build the climax toward the end.
Okay.
So move the club fast enough so that you can have a little bit of sort of instability at the end, or active slowdown at the end,
Right.
instead of quick motion and then just try to lift this up here.
Okay.
And then the arms reach peak angular velocity here. Again, it's still before the midpoint of the backswing here. This is really early.
Okay.
And then your club reaches peak angular velocity here. It's really early.
Very early.
So when these peaks occur in the middle of the backswing, then the arms and the club delays here. So you can build the climax toward the end of the backswing. So for that, you have to really throw. Just throw in the swing motion. And then push here. This
Yeah.
is the timing here, instead of all the way here. So
Yeah.
throw and then throw here.
Okay.
So you should feel that rhythm.
Right.
Throw and then throw here.
That.
And then when the arms travel down here,
Yeah.
then it's stuck here.
Then the elbow comes.
Yeah, so go up here and then try to throw the arms in front of your body.
Okay.
And then give a more ballistic feel here. Bouncing here. And then throw.
Like that?
Still, you tend to drag it here.
Yeah.
So the goal is go up and then drop this a little bit,
Okay.
and then throw out here.
Okay.
Still drag, and you are coming this way here.
Yeah.
So that you have that ingrained in your system.
Pretty
here.
ingrained. Yeah.
Yeah. You elbow tends to come a bit close to your body.
Okay.
Your body has to
So it
slide.
comes too close,
So have the feel of not sliding here and just turning here.
like this.
Yeah. If
Okay.
you have that feel, go here and then turn
Okay.
and stand on the little side. Yeah. Then
Okay.
still your foot is on the ground here
Yeah.
in that case.
Okay.
Yes. And then here is still too stiff here,
Right.
too stiff. If you just throw, you have to relax and finish here.
Okay.
And then your main effort is here.
Right.
Early effort, here you have to develop good speed here.
Right.
Then you have a good speed at the bottom. Once you pass this point, putting a lot of effort has no meaning here, right?
Right.
So go up and then this is the key here.
Okay.
Throw and then easy finish here. Then here in the follow through,
Right.
you have a lot more relaxed follow through here.
Right. Because all the energy of the club gets released.
Yeah, once your impact is done, then after that, just putting a lot of effort has no meaning.
Okay.
And then the transition phase here, because backswing, sort of, you're slowing down the backswing here toward the end. What happens is the body pretty much transitions, the trunk transitions together, okay, and then club here.
Okay.
So you have a bit clustered here,
Yeah.
clustered transition here. But in a good transition, by using the momentum here and then separate and then sequential transition here, so these will be well spaced.
Okay.
But you tend to have a cluster here. That means backswing slows down
Right.
toward the end quite a bit here. Because you have early action and then slow down here.
So it
Then try to turn with your muscles here. And then downswing, the timings of these peaks are okay. The timings of these peaks are okay. But you see how gradually the pelvis angular velocity increases here. You from here and then this is the transition point.
Yeah.
This is a pretty slow increase here.
Right.
Rather, you have to cut down the time between the top of backswing and the 7 here so that these can rapidly increase early and then coming down here. So this is a bit slow increase here because you're pulling all the way down. But timing, in terms of timings, these are all happening around here, so it's okay. And then surprisingly, so you are generating angular velocity of the club higher than elite man's average. Your elbow is slightly below that.
My club. Okay. Elbows below. Is that?
This is a wrist, I mean. So this is the club angular velocity.
Yeah.
So the peak is above elite man's average maximum, but your wrist peak angular velocity.
Is that because I'm throwing, like casting the club really fast?
No. So here you have to let it go here.
Right.
You have to throw the club head here
Okay.
instead of.
Gotcha.
So I think you can increase this a bit more here.
Yeah.
The bottom line is you're putting too much effort in the swing.
Okay.
So you have to probably use maybe 80% of your current effort.
Okay.
But you can still maintain the speed.
Okay.
But when at impact, you don't influence the club motion at impact, it becomes more consistent. Develop speed and then hit it instead of through the impact you try to influence the club motion. And then this is how you interact with the ground here. So the middle graph shows all these forces here. So green is the force acting on the lead side. Blue is the force acting on the trail side.
Okay.
And then red is the one, the total force here.
Okay.
And then you are starting with the more force acting on the lead side. This is good.
Okay.
This is good. But then, so you have a maximum push from the trail side here now.
Okay.
A lot of forces acting here. Up to this point is good.
Okay.
But for some reason, your total force reaches a peak value way early here, and it already starts decreasing here. When you have a good push from the trail side, it's not just putting your weight to that side, but you also should have a net active push here, intentional active push. So what happens is, so at this point here, at this point, you have a lot more force acting on the trail side, not much on the lead side here. But when you add these two, then it's the same to the body weight.
Right.
So that means what happens is you are just shifting and then putting more weight on this side.
Right.
But if you have intentional active push here, then the force goes above the body weight.
That makes sense.
So this line is the body weight line. You have early net push here. Now the total force is larger than the body weight here.
Okay.
So you have this peak, but this is too early. This has to occur around here, a bit later. So when you have a maximum push from the trail side, this should be more active push so that the total force should go above the body weight. But here, you're just redistributing the weight.
Okay.
So no net push here. And then after that, it goes below the swing plane, below the body weight here. This is called the unweighting.
Okay.
So your ground reaction force is smaller than the body weight. It's called the unweighting.
Okay.
Now in the unweighting here, your high point is slight before the end of peripheral test, so about here. So this area and this area should be the same.
Okay.
And then from there, you need to have good unweighting here. But without much unweighting, you are generating this force. That means you are intentionally pushing the ground hard using the leg here. Now here's where you intentionally push the ground hard.
Right.
Instead of using this unweighting. So when you drop the body nicely using the unweighting here, and then you can easily push. But you are sliding and then pushing hard.
Right.
The intentional push. And then this peak is delayed here. This is peak force here,
It's too late.
late.
Okay.
So the peak force should occur about here,
Okay.
about around 8 here,
Okay.
but it's delayed. So you are sliding, look at this, how much you're sliding here as you open the pelvis, and then the knee goes. So timing of this peak should be closer to this peak here, and then this should go a bit higher here. And a good unweighting, but this has to be continuous unweighting here, and then push. Yeah,
So I'm essentially too early and then too late.
yeah, this is too early,
Right.
and you don't have really good unweighting here. So you have you're intentionally pushing the ground.
Yeah.
And then, so this is the top of action here. At this point, you should have a good unweighting, but already it's getting close to the body height, the body weight here. And then this is the so-called moment arm, which is the separation between this arrow and then this red dot here. This is central mass of the body. And
Okay.
this is the force arrow. This distance. Okay. This is the moment arm.
Okay. I feel like I'm back in physics class.
Yeah, and you need to have maintain long moment time here.
Okay.
So moment arm times force gives a torque here.
Right.
So this is the torque you generate in the front plane. By the time you reach the top of action, you should have a good torque generated already here. So with that, you have good initial condition,
Okay.
and then start the downswing.
So that's too late.
Yeah, this is a bit low because you don't have good unweighting. When you have good unweighting here, then the vertical force decreases. Then naturally the force inclines more.
Okay.
Then the momentum increases. But you don't have good unweighting here. That's why. And so the peak occurs about here. So this is the longest momentum. And then the force is now above the body weight. And then this is the maximum torque. So I call this hybrid strategy. So you are generating maximum frontal plane gyrative torque by using the best combination of momentum and force.
Right.
Okay. But if you rely on the, oh, actually, this is, since this is above the, no, this can be classified as a momentum dominant pattern here. Because you are,
Okay.
you are at the longest momentum, but this is delayed too much.
Okay.
This has to happen near the top of edging here.
Interesting.
Yeah. And now you're pushing the ground hard here, but already the momentum is decreased quite a bit here. So the torque is decreasing.
Okay.
After that, torque is decreasing rapidly here, and then it's going in the opposite direction. Now the torque, when the torque is positive, then it promotes downswing rotation.
Okay.
But if the torque becomes negative at this point here, because the force is passing the left side of the central mass from this point on.
So could that be why I rotate too open early and then I don't rotate much anymore?
That's because of the body posture.
Okay.
But what's happening is, in terms of the ground interaction is, after this, the force will incline this way and it's passing the left side of the central mass. Then the torque generated in the opposite direction.
Okay.
While your swing is going this way, your torque is acting in the opposite direction, interfering with this. This is not too much, it's not too long, but still, there's no reason to generate torque in the opposite direction. This can be close to zero. That's okay.
Okay.
But there's no reason to go down like this. It's because of the force inclining quite a bit this way. So you are inclining the force early. So when you are 7 here, the force is vertical, pretty much. And then at 8, the force will incline. But still, you need to maintain reasonable momentum here. And after that, you have to stand on the leader side, so that you keep large force on this side, and that the force can pass, through the center mass or the right side of the center mass.
Okay.
But now, the force is inclining, and then it's passing the left side of the center mass. So the torque is acting in the opposite direction. But surprisingly, because you are using your muscles a lot,
Yeah.
you can generate the speed. But it's all coming from your muscular effort.
Right.
So what happens is when you get tired, let's say,
Yeah.
then you cannot control that well.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Because the golf swing is not really a maximum effort motion, but you are making it sort of a maximum effort motion by putting a lot of muscular effort.
Okay.
But once you start throwing the club head, the swing becomes easier. You don't have to put that much effort. That means you'll be able to use the muscles longer,
Okay.
more consistently.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So you have to get away from this muscle-driven swing. And for that, you have to feel what it's like to release the club head.
Right.
Release the club head. So instead of having the image of dragging from the beginning all the way here, drop and then throw.
Okay.
Okay? So, but still, when you come up and then when it starts moving downward, then you can push. Then you can make a bigger motion here. Come up. So even when you are riding the swing on your own, you're standing on here and holding the rope here.
Yeah.
And then when you try to ride this swing, you go up and wait until this is reaching the peak, and then you try to
Right.
lower your body, and then the amplitude increases.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then, so you are moving the body to promote this motion, and then the amplitude increases.
Yeah.
Like that. So you go, and then throw when it starts moving this way, and then add effort and throw instead of.
Right.
And then when the club stays away from your body, away from your body in the downswing, let's see, let's use this one here. So now you are flexing your elbow quite a bit here, but the club is actually center of mass is actually staying away from your body. Then this, because of this, the overall system moment of inertia increases.
Okay.
When the moment of inertia increases, according to Newton's second law, external torque is equal to moment of inertia times the angular acceleration, or angular acceleration is equal to the torque you generate divided by the moment of inertia of the system. So for the same amount of torque, let's say, the same level of torque, if moment of inertia increases, then angular acceleration decreases.
Okay.
So when the club stays out here, then you're putting a lot of effort. But
Right.
if you keep the club a bit closer to your body here, then with less effort, you can generate the same speed.
With the club. Right. Okay. That makes sense.
So that makes the swing easier.
Yeah.
Yep. So currently the swing is inefficient. You're using a lot of your muscles and try to swing hard. So you are skillfully making your swing hard. But relax and feel the release.